The last week and now these meetings since then, so this week, so. I'm getting to sit. Yeah. No, I don't. Yeah. Yeah, just from.
All right, it's 9:30. We'll call the meeting to order with everyone present. If everyone please stand and recite the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge to America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God.
Thank you. First on the agenda, Jeff Kuboushek, equipment update and other road amendments.
Oh, just a few things here. Awesome. We just got from Wren Valley, I got some pictures there. It is completed. I just took a couple pictures there just to show we got it. We set the last of the riprap on. We got all the equipment out of there. It's seated. It turned out really nice for.
Looking great.
Yeah, they should be pretty happy. We'll have, we touched it up with the maintainer once. We'll probably have to do a little bit on the house side. Sure, because it's probably gonna settle a little bit because we hauled a fair amount of fill on that backside, so, I know it will be his, in his. Just to make sure, because it is gonna settle a little bit in there, but after that, yeah, it turned out pretty good.
And it hasn't actually been vacated yet.
Right, right.
We just.
Yeah.
Just a little touch up.
Yeah, yeah, and we've hauled a couple loads for the turnaround, or when we do go down in the winter time to turn around, for us. But other than that, it's. Yeah, it turned out very good, so.
We did get the signed agreement back from him.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and we were able to just, and got in touch with him and the gas has returned, and so I think it's recorded to more than happy with it. And like I said, for dollars, it was the program. This other one is on 295th west of Fort Atkinson, the one at Brandon Construction, Bridge 26. They're doing the last pour today. So they're moving along pretty nicely with that. So, probably just guessing a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, and they'll probably be out of there. I think that. So, and it's been dry, so haven't had any water.
Well, that was replacing a bridge.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, there was a small bridge in there, so we were able to put the box to it, which is definitely a win, because anytime you can put that in there.
Yeah.
And cost wise, so, but that one's, I stopped there Friday, just got a few pictures, but they're trucking along pretty good. We said they were gonna do that for this morning. They're probably pouring right now, so they were filling it up on.
The boxes that have to be inspected.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, our, one of our techs is always there.
No, but like, once it's in, it's like a bridge inspection.
No, I don't think so. No. So, yeah, definitely. We did get the results back for our locust shed for the asbestos, so we have no asbestos in there, so we can, yeah, we'll tear that down here coming up. So we can get that ready for salt and sand this fall. The other one is, we just gotta get time to get up there with the dirt. I'm kind of been busy with dirt on Conover, so we haven't got too many of them. And speaking of Conover, guys are making pretty good headway there. We're about If you guys are familiar with that, we're
Maybe 200 yards short.
so they're kind of moving right along there. Looks pretty good what they're doing. Very good. I mean, the kind of a win-win both ways. We're getting some shoulders on 14 and yeah, which.
Any complaints?
Not really. I haven't really heard of too many. Two of them said they won't be able to drive as fast down the road because it's not wide enough. But, other than that, yeah, and a 30-foot top is sufficient. That'll be,
Yeah.
once the grass is.
And it proves their own
Oh,
structure on
absolutely. Well,
W14.
and when we haul rock on it, it'll look like we put something rock on it. I mean, yeah, that wide, and it just takes a lot longer for the maintainer to make another pass. And we did that one west Spillville, and that's been nice, really nice. And here where we need material, do that road next year on 14, at least you have something to put rock on for shoulders, so. And the dirt that they're hauling there, we're just short of Conover right now. Filling, they're on the west side, there's an Ellsburn that lives over there, they're on that west side, so. We got a little bit of work to do on the S corners down just north of 195th, but we're waiting for a full fleets, because we're gonna pull the and put the chevrons back up quick is kind of the, we'd like to anyway, so, or maybe just take a couple depending on which we get all the trucks. We have to haul a little bit in there yet, so.
Are we gonna clean ditches all the way to 52?
That's the plan.
That's the plan.
But they have power or buried electrical once you get into Conover, so. And a lot of it will depend on width too, when we get there, once Mike Wise has been putting the whiskers out there to see how, where that 30-foot comes out at. And if it is narrow, or, you know, we'll leave it, but I got a feeling we'll probably run all the way to 52, so. And hopefully we get a little ways, you know, if we get that next stretch west of Conover, we replaced the pipe in there, so there's some dirt in there that we won't have to fill, so we can jump to that next corner. So try and get as far as we can on W14, so.
Yeah, if we could get all, well, wish we could get all the way on 14. What's been done already is a huge difference.
Yeah, it's,
You look at the profile of the existing pavement, see where it's from, see where it's facing.
been a nice project. Or you don't have, not saying that we don't need rain, but.
Oh, but it's looking good. You look at where they put in the box culvert north of the hill right there, and that's all greened up and holding well and everything. It's looking really good on that.
You know, the trees out, it opens it up a lot, so. Yeah, that was pretty good. Paint for the roads will be getting delivered this week from Diamond Vogel. I got a call last week. And then they'll be painting center lines only this year. So probably in August is their schedule right now. We go on it every other year. We have been for the last how many years, and this year will be just center line. The only ones we'll do some fog line would be like on Trout Run. We did some of that auto seal. Then fog lines there are gone. So we'll do them, but for the most part, it'll just be center line. Question for the people. There was a roadside conference and just wanted to reach out to see if you guys have a problem with Todd going to it. It is October 4th to the 6th. And it's at Cedar Falls, Iowa. But you don't have to decide today. You guys can talk about it, but just wanted to let you be aware of that. There's some trees on 118th Street west of Jackson Junction. I'm waiting to hear quotes back. There's 6 of them that need to be removed. But I'm waiting for 2 quotes to come back, one from Total Tree Care, another one from Stevenson. So see, they're right up. There's some dead ash trees and they're gonna cause some havoc sooner or later. And they are ours, so we'll have to wait and see what we get back for prices on them, so. And another thing, the annual report that is done. Can't want me to mention that, but they got that done last week. We actually come in and got that done, so at least we're good for a while on that. In the Freeport shop, we're gonna probably have to do a little repair work on we got some water issues that is coming through the roof when we get some rain. And then it leaks down through the shop and the office area. So I think we're gonna have to probably re-tin part of the building there to get the water to quit. Every time they got a 5-gallon pail in well, 2 of them, one by the heater and then one up in the attic. And when you get rains, basically you could probably look in the one pail for the rain gauge. So we're gonna have to probably replace some tin on that. I call it'd be like the west end. And then lunchroom needs some major, I think we just need to strip it down and it's pretty rough. So,
I'll agree with you.
It's pretty crude. So I think we need to,
Part of that roof, though, all that roof was installed at the same time, wasn't it?
yeah.
But part of it isn't leaking? Or-
Yeah, and most of it's right in, there's a few spots, but a lot of it seems like where there's pipes that go through.
Oh.
And there's tried to tar and caulk, and they still leak in there. So I think we're gonna have to put, and then up in the attic, the insulation really shrunk. There isn't a lot of insulation up there, so I think we're gonna, for heating wise, it would probably be beneficial to get some insulation blown up there at the same time in that heated area, because otherwise we're losing quite a bit of heat. So just wanted to let you be aware of that.
What's dates on that conference again?
October 4th to the 6th. One other thing on the intersection of 265th and B16, we had that tallies there. Didn't know if you guys are looking at wanting to put a solar flashing red light there. We do have one. Actually, Bob had asked.
Yeah, I think we've discussed that and thought as a board, it would be a good decision.
Good idea.
I mean,
You could save one life. It's
right.
worth a lot.
And we actually, the last time we ordered a couple just to have, because we put the other one we put on A18 and W20.
Yeah.
And
There I was flying off that.
been, knock on wood, it's been pretty good ever since. Not saying that the light, but I mean, and it's open there, and you don't have trees, so
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have,
Should
pretty
charge
good. So we do have a sign there. I mean, there is a 48 by 48 stop ahead. And the 2 rumble strips, but I think the sign is maybe at a light also.
Light plan.
Yeah. So it'd be, I think it's around $1,400, I think, for the solar light, but we've had pretty good luck with them, but just wanted to pass that by if you guys, I mean,
We got one there.
okay.
We've got that speed sign down on B16, just coming into Spillville right there with the solar on it and the speed indicator. And that thing is very effective for the traffic that's coming in there. And
Okay. I passed around some pictures there. You look at that first. This is up north by Highlandville. And we have some issues here with the riprap. It's on 360th Street. And we have This is basically all in our right of way. There was no permit for any of the work done.
The rip, just so I know, this is rip wrap, a private individual is added, not you.
Yes, yes. So I have to get in contact with Andy to see what further actions. And this leads to a level C road. And so basically, if you go north of our shop of Locust.
Yeah.
And there's gates on the east side of the road there, and there's a sign there, 360th Street, and that's gated. So you can follow that through there. And then it comes out into this, basically below this gentleman's residence. And it's supposed to be gated, but I do not find any gates on
the other end.
on the other end. They're gone as well.
Who did the riprap work?
Private, it was a private individual. So-
From private supply of rock?
And then he paid for all the rock. But I had a landowner stop here a week ago. And on the second page, you see that riprap comes up to a point there, and there's kind of a driveway. Well, they weren't real happy that it was put all the way up there because it kind of chokes down their entrance.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I can see that.
You got the power cable there.
Steve, did I give you one? Give me one?
No, I mean, you get those.
Oh,
I got,
you get anything more? You give me yours.
yeah, that narrows that down pretty good, but that's
So,
getting into its
It'll
field.
be expensive removal.
so we have to, and we turn around with our maintainer right at that intersection. We generally don't go down there a whole lot. I mean, the guys that go down there, I think, and mow a path probably once a year, make sure it's, when I went down there with my pickup last week, I ended up, there was a tree that was across the road. I cut that up, but it's quite a,
Does it service any residences back there?
no, but there's a landowner back there that there is like a machine shed back there. So they are issued keys, and anybody that needs to get back there
Fire
has
numbers.
keys.
So it's not something we could vacate.
Or is it? Probably more
I
than one
would say
man.
probably not.
If there's a landowner that's using that entrance there, it's not the person who added the rock, then they need access.
Yeah, and the person that has this entrance actually has a shed down that path.
Sounds like we need a whole lot more information. We should put this on the agenda. for
Yeah,
next week.
but there's a lot of equipment you can see down on the bottom towards, there's a lot of brick and pallets and dumpster and you can get through there, but it's kind of tight. So
That's our road it sits on, but
basically, yes, you know. And the gates are supposed to be locked somewhere, locked in this vicinity, but there's no gates there.
What road does that come off of?
Bear Creek, it'd be west of Bear Creek.
That's a pretty road back.
Yeah, I was back there and actually I've never been back through there and it was
Gorgeous.
pretty decent shape, really. I mean, it's more kind of nice back in there. There's a deer feeder back there too, right along the road. I see too. I took a picture of that, but so yeah, I need to get with Andy.
so it appears that this guy gravelled the road and improved it back to where that shed is.
No, that the gravel would be there and actually from the 911 sign, that's all asphalt. He asphalted the driveway to his place besides.
You incurred some real costs on this.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, I think the riprap, I guess my opinion is probably more for aesthetics than anything, you know, for looks, because I don't really think it serves a lot of purpose.
Except for he's holding down the weed cloth.
I don't think he's gonna really like it when he plows it this winter, because the riprap isn't buried, it's laying above, he's like about 1.5 foot of riprap sticking up in the air, so.
It definitely makes it hard for someone else who wants to take something wide down through there.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
equipment that's.
So,
So next week or the week after, this should be on the agenda for further discussion.
probably a couple weeks.
Give you-
I tried calling the landowner and left a message and I never heard back,
So I'll wait to hear from Jeff after he talks to Andy and
yeah. Okay.
talk about it tomorrow.
The other sheet I handed out was on the equipment. These are just some of the, I know a while back you guys had mentioned what it would cost to rebuild couple of the maintainers. There's some prices there. One is from Brown's Heavy Equipment out of Ames and the other one is from Ziegler. It just kind of gives you some prices and they're
A
not,
little over half of the, well, not really.
About half of a new one.
well, depends which one you're looking at.
Yeah,
I started with the first one.
Yeah, well, go to there's
before the back page.
the back page, you know,
Back.
at least you're sitting down. Because, it's a little more than.
Oh. Yeah,
It's
100,000 of the new one.
pretty expensive. The new one that we have, they thought it'll be here this fall, a maintainer, and we've had that ordered since last year.
that was 375.
No, that was
470.
437, and then we were trading in machine 131, which would be Pat's up in Kendallville. And I think they gave us 70.
Well, the 372 was a trade. I think
Probably,
it
yeah.
was 372
Yeah.
was number right. Still on mine. Yeah, the one at 350.
It's a full blown. That's the
Others,
whole
that's the holders.
paint and,
Oh, that's.
but for, you know. For that money, that's a lot.
That's a new one.
Yeah, basically, you're not that short of a new one.
Probably the only important to it is you're not getting all the electronics.
Yeah, that's.
Right. You know, and there's pros and cons that,
Yeah.
you know, they go through everything. You do have a warranty on their major components. But the cons too is you still have a 20-year-old
Yeah.
machine,
Yeah. Then you gotta drive it for 10 years and
basically, or more,
run it. Yeah, you gotta run it for 15 years to get your.
you know. We do have the one that, John Deere that we had some issues with oil consumption. That is at John Deere, and they have the floor apart right now. They had an opening, so we took that in there. 5 of the 6 rings were broke. That's
That'll
where,
do it.
that's where our oil is.
So we're using the landfill one right
We
now.
have the landfill right now, yes, yeah, and TJ's been very good at letting us, I mean, that's a nice thing, I just hate to use it too much, you know, but it comes in handy, because basically, we kind of call it ours, we just park it at the landfill, but most of the time, it's in our possession, just because, you know, if we need repairs, but and actually, we do have another one down that's at Ziegler, that would be Dave Compulse, that's in under warranty, they're working on that, trying to get something with the front end or the front wheel assist, they're trying to get that figured out.
So the ones, the quotes from Browns that are much less expensive, do you think that's not as good of or not as complete or as good an overhaul that are?
No, they're pretty reputable, I mean,
One being spending the 142 or the 100 and,
right,
Or 280
right,
or 300.
yeah, but these first two are 185 and 142, which
Right, yeah.
seems a little more reasonable.
Right.
$80,000 less than the other two.
yeah, and the one machine 151, that's Brandon's in Freeport here, and that's the one that we've stuck a lot of money in, because we just put a rear end and a transmission, and that was like $60,000 from Ziegler. That was last year. So I think for Browns, they took, we told them we had that done to it. So it's like, yeah, we'll leave it, but Caterpillar doesn't really want to.
Leave it, they wanna,
They wanna
the
charge
warranty
you.
it, they want the whole.
Right,
Whole boat.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
so,
Yeah.
but yeah, the Browns were, I mean, if you're at all thinking of going that way,
They'd be willing to leave those parts in that.
yeah, yeah,
Then you only gotta run it 7, 8 years or 9 years and get your money back, Ralph, rather than have to run it 15.
We don't have anything on order, do we? On maintainers?
Just
just
one.
the one that's coming.
One that's coming.
Yeah,
And that one was supposed to trade in 131.
131, yes, yeah,
So if you just fixed 131, rebuilt it instead, you'd have to come up with the 70-some thousand.
right, or trade something else, but, and that's where, like the John Deere, it took, the last oil change, it took like 16 gallons, and then the last time you used it, it took like 3 gallons. So we were kind of forced to do something rather quickly, or keep dumping oil in it, hoping that it would last. So the quote was around $30,000 to put a motor in it, which, like the mechanic says, you're gonna pay for that motor either now or later. You try and trade it, and and you kind of need the machine, so at least
Well, when you get that many hours on them, you
Yeah.
have to expect it.
And-
It's just the way it's.
the dealer even said, you got that many hours on it? They were, I mean, kind of surprised that
Once you get over 10,
we used, yeah. And our other John Deere's got 14,000 hours on it also. And that one's starting to consume a little, but not as bad as this one. So that might. Is that more?
So we can trade that.
Marks. Well, we could, but,
If you wouldn't want to consider trading a different one in unless you knew this 131 was going to get rebuilt, because
Yeah.
otherwise you'd still be.
And then you
the
take-
oldest
and
one.
then you take a chance, bros. All of a sudden that one, something happens to that, so it's kind of a crapshoot on the direction that, for the dollars spent with the Deers. I think we, like Mark's, at some point, probably will have to have a motor put in that also. Because I called him just the other day to ask him how many hours, and he said it was like 14.
Yeah, and that one's looking kind of rough too.
Yeah. And I think Levi's was like. And Mark's is 2 years newer than Levi's was the first John Deere that we got. So,
One other consideration that I'll bring up is that if you were rebuild them, you're probably talking months instead of a year and a half or whatever.
yeah,
Get it
to
done.
rebuild, it would probably be 2 to 3 months before you got it back.
Whereas when you order a new one, you're at least.
She said this 131 is the one that's getting removed.
That's the one, no, that's the one we're trading right now.
Which one's getting the motor?
132 is the one that we're putting the motor in. That's John Deere. Yeah.
131.
No, 131's a cab. Yeah.
So the most pressing question is if they want to consider rebuilding 131, because within the next month or two, you're gonna need to know if you're fitting it in or not.
Right. And that was a crapshoot too, but I think for that one, we're probably better off for the money, trading that one, just for the fact we haven't really done a whole lot to that one. And Brandon's, that 151, if we would rebuild one from Cat, you're probably better off building that one. Just from, because we got the transmission, the rear end, we stuck the money into that compared to something.
Yeah.
It's something I don't need to know today, but probably
Snow season will be coming if you got.
Yeah.
Two
Major guys,
we will.
I'd say 151 would be
I
the
mean,
one
it's
to,
just, if that's something that,
I don't know.
going forward, we're probably gonna have to look at budget too, as far as what to purchase for equipment going forward.
Yeah.
We have one more, two trucks.
Two trucks coming.
The other one should be, I would hope we'll get the end of the month maybe, and then we need to have that single axle left yet. So, but budget numbers will definitely have to look to see. I've never dealt with any of the numbers to see what.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of things we need, but it's just a matter of trying to prioritize what's the maintainer. I would say going forward, we're probably gonna have to order another maintainer at some point. Cause I mean, trucks. We got 4 of them, but I mean, it seems like the house good maintainers are
Creeping up there.
Creeping up there.
So that, 151, it's only half the price for the rebuild.
It's less than that.
It's the one quote is 220 or 234.
Yeah.
Well,
142.
142, because that's already,
142 and then 15.
they've already had the transmission done.
Transmission and rear.
Yeah, so it's no use redoing that.
Well, since you don't have to know today, I guess it's something we can put on the agenda and discuss a little.
Yeah, further.
Yeah.
Give the week.
Well, it's just a chance to go through it and see what it all
Yeah.
consists of.
Okay. And I think that's all I have. Unless you guys have something for me.
No, I don't think so. I don't. Anyone else?
You do this, give me a call if you need something.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody starts.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda,
I didn't want to interrupt, but that tour, are you guys gonna drive out there and look at that?
we still want to do that yet today, guys?
Your meeting.
Just push it out.
I think
Let's
we should
pass.
just do it.
I didn't know if, you
No.
needed us to go out there. If you do, just let us know.
Okay,
We can reach out there if you need to look at it.
I've seen you turn around.
thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, Mike Meirick, Executive Director, Spectrum Space Lease Discussion.
Oh, good. Surely walked out the door, she's gonna help me be back.
She's leaving you.
Thanks for coming to visit us at Spectrum last month. Hopefully you saw some things in our building. Hopefully you saw some things in our building that you didn't realize we do with 4 nonprofits, all assembled in that same area. One of the things that came up out of your visit was some area that we had available to lease. Before the end of that meeting, we talked about a couple of departments that you have that may be looking for space, whether it was the Iowa Department of Health or Public Health. And I didn't know if there was any follow-up discussion on that or if you've done anything with that.
We really haven't.
I think the human services is just not enough space for them.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, they're-
significantly less than what they have now, so they were.
Can you look at that? Because I don't realize, I didn't know that anybody came to our building other than the people in this room.
No, they're all,
We put the square footage compared
Yeah.
to.
Oh, compared with.
yeah, they're currently partially occupying 7,000 plus square feet.
How much do they use?
Like I said, they're partially
Yeah.
occupying 7,000 square feet.
And to further complicate the whole issue is that the state is reorganizing the Department of Human Services, so we don't know if they're planning to add more people to our building or pull our people out and put them in some other building or something, so it's all up in the air right now with that department.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any opportunity for us to get them moved anytime soon until they settle down this whole reorganization.
Yeah.
Any idea when that's gonna happen?
This is the government you're talking about.
I work with
Thank
the
you,
local
Mike.
government, you guys have to work at the next level, that's your responsibility. One of the other things that to I happen to be a brother-in-law to Pat Murray, who's county supervisor, and now we spent the weekend talking about just this. There's going to be changes, as you know, Department of Health and Human Services, Department of Health, funding mechanisms, consolidations are gonna happen, which is going to give you the need for different space. I think our buildings would accomplish that very well. We're looking at reorganizing. We have about 18,000 square feet. Outside of Spectrum, we have 3 renters that generate about $54,000 in revenue per year. But Spectrum should not be in the business of owning brick and mortar. There's no reason to do it. Our capital is tied up in the building as opposed to having access to that capital. With the reduction of funding that's happened over the last 10 years, when you look back at county social services participating in our offerings at plus $100,000 10 years ago, last year was $5,000. And the state and federal government aren't giving us any more money to take care of the adults, especially that we work with every day in our community. So we have to look for other opportunities of income streams and have to reduce our overhead and the dollars that we have spent. Our equity positions are fantastic, but borrowing against equity positions don't make any sense. If you let us be in a position not to own the building, it's difficult just because of the tax benefits. Nonprofits, county, state entities make a lot of sense to do that, especially if there's opportunities for you to other businesses or departments that you have into that building. So
Can you guys fill us in on the conversations with the director at the Department of Human Services of the building at 152? How's that conversation going?
No conversation on my part. We don't have anything to really talk about.
Have
We
you
gotta wait now
talked to
till we
them?
see, we gotta wait now till we see how this whole reorganization works. They don't know what's gonna happen, if they'll even be there anymore.
But we're talking about their capacity needs and our assumptions about what their capacity needs are. Have you talked to the woman in charge out there?
No,
Nobody has?
we looked at it,
We
looked at it, and the space they're using is not even comparable to what's
When you
here,
looked
so.
at it, was she able to give you a tour through the building?
No, didn't need a tour. I'm looking at space, that's all.
But you were in the building
6:30 a.m.
and she wasn't with you.
No,
I didn't know you were there.
I went in to see the property, the county property.
how many folks work at that site?
That's a good question.
There's,
A question for the director. And then
There's a lot, they have a lot of people that are only there 1 or 2 days a week. So they might be housing, I've heard numbers in 20, 25 people, but at any one time, there might only be 6 or 8 people actually there. If you stop out there.
But it's possible they could all be there.
Or they could all be there. We don't.
One given
we
time.
don't know.
I think we should have the director come and talk and have a meeting and ask, what is your minimum need for space?
Well, they won't know until they reorganize,
Until they
this whole
reorganize.
public health, Department of Human Services, that whole thing's gonna be one.
But right now,
one
that-
now.
It sounds to me from what you've said, or that position is completely out of this discussion at this point, and we need everybody at the table when we're making decisions and talking about issues. We can't make assumptions.
Yeah, well, now we'll have to wait till they make all that, group everybody together and see what they are gonna do. Because they don't know what they're gonna do either.
Because right now,
If they'll even need that building.
right now would be the perfect time to get into a lease agreement that binds us to a renting a property when we don't know what's gonna go forward for the next year.
Because you gotta wait till they get everything worked out with public health, Department of Human Services, get it all to what they're consolidating all that. They won't know. They may turn a lot of people out there, it's hard to know. Till
We
they,
don't know. And
we
need,
don't know.
we need that person involved at the table when we're talking about this.
That facility is expensive for you to maintain or not,
oh, it is.
but we don't know how much, but it's expensive.
We know how much it costs us to maintain the building.
So if we don't know how long it's gonna take for Department of Health and Human Services or the other entities that are funding this, we don't know if it's gonna be 2 months or 2 years. So making decisions today based on the budgeting that you have for those buildings seems like an alternative space may make sense to look at the reduction of costs. Right, I don't know what your space needs are, but I can tell you, for 3 years, I rented part of the old Walmart and it was about 12,000 square feet. I used every single part of it because I could. But when I moved to another building that had 3,000 square feet, everything I moved into that fit. Did you ever have a machine set that was too big? What I'm saying is, just because it's big, it's not necessary.
If you got space, you fill it. I've seen it over
Yeah.
and over and over.
We're the same way.
I want to pound the point home, I'm sorry. The person who has the answers to these questions is not in this conversation. And we need to bring the director of DHS into the conversation. That's a professional courtesy we have to extend. That's our job.
It doesn't hurt to have a conversation. To say, what is your need at the moment?
Well, we'll go out and have a conversation with her. The two of us are tasked with evaluating that building. We'll go, I have floor plans of it, and we know exactly what is there now, and we know exactly what's in Health and Human Services, our own department down in the Smith building. So we've got an overall thing where we should take a look at, and we need to assess it all first and find out. It's rather difficult to do when they don't know where they're going. I've seen the same thing in the Workforce Development Board with all of the conglomeration of all of that, and you see the same thing on the judicial side of it. Everybody's in an uproar. Everyone's afraid of what's going to happen, but nobody has any concrete answers.
No, but I think just having a conversation, to find out, could you do with less space if things stay the same? So we could look long term, well, is there something better we could be looking at from where we're at out here?
They could do well with less space. And it would.
Scott, we should not be talking about that without the director. You're making an assumption here, Steve.
I've been there. Have you,
Steve, you
Shirley?
cannot make this
Have
assumption.
you been through there, Shirley?
I wouldn't dream of going out there at 6 a.m. without the director with me and having her have the heads up that you're in the offices that they're doing business out of. That's incredibly confidential business.
I went out there
So
with
I don't
our
think we should
staff,
continue
Shirley.
this conversation.
Shirley, I went out there with our staff as they were working in the building, and I walked through with our staff. I see nothing wrong with that. We're not viewing what's on desk. We are not looking at confidential information.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows? Well, I do, much more than you do.
I think
Okay.
that this conversation
Are
can
you
continue
guys
with her at the table.
Willing to talk to the director?
Sure, Mark and I will set an appointment with her and go out and
Okay.
visit with her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Running behind.
Thanks for coming to visit Spectrum.
Thank you.
Thank you for the tour, Mike.
Next on the agenda, resolution to provide for a notice of hearing on proposed plans, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost of the Festina wastewater treatment facility improvement project and taking up bids therefore.
I didn't make up that, title. That was our bonding attorney told me what to put on the agenda, so.
I got through it, man.
So, yeah, so it's, basically you're setting, that, if you recall when,
Tom?
Tom was here, kind of outlined the, timeline for the project. And so the first step is setting this, public hearing after, soliciting bids. And so, he's got it set up for this, fit the timeline he talked about with you last time. The 21st of August at 10 a.m. is when the public hearing will be. And the bids are due the week before and they'll go through them and so on. So this is the official.
What would that date be then?
It's the 21st at 10 a.m.
Of August.
Yeah.
I move to approve the public hearing for the 21st of August at 10 p.m.
AM?
AM? Yeah, AM.
I'll second
It's gonna
that.
be a long meeting.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Set a resolution for a public hearing for the wastewater treatment plan for August 21st at 10 a.m. Any further discussion? None? Shirley?
Aye.
Mark? Aye. Mark? Aye. Steve?
Aye.
Aye also. Passes unanimously.
And Tom did apologize. He was going to attend at least virtually, but he had something come up at another project. So he said he left it in my capable hands, so hopefully it's just.
So I just put nothing on it here.
Yeah.
And you'll get it.
So our job is to publish it in the newspapers and the county newspapers and the, on the county website. And then Tom will publish it in the contractors' websites and so on. And then we'll just wait till the bids come in.
Right, next on the agenda, a couple miscellaneous items. First of all, accept, file, and publish county treasurer's semi-annual report.
This one I distributed by email a couple weeks ago, so you got to see it ahead of time. You do a semi-annual report for the treasurer. I did include the annual ones. You can see the whole picture, but you did one in January for the first half of the year. It does get published in the official county newspapers for the public to see as well.
I move to approve, to accept and file publish the county treasurer's semi-annual report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept, file, and publish the county treasurer's semi-annual report. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. PA Commission.
You received this letter via email ahead of time, but in reference to the applications and the recommendations by the VA Commission. So I'll just pass this around if anyone wants to look at them, but they did give you their recommendations ahead of time. So the recommendation was to reappoint one person and Mr. Modry and then a new appointment, which I can't remember the name there, but. Flemish, yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure. That's up to the board chair, but it doesn't feel have to.
Someone would like to take action on the appointment?
There was one gentleman wanting if we could public comment or not.
Well, if you want to make it quick.
It's a big quick. I'm Glenn Larson, I'm just a concerned veteran. But I would appreciate it if you would table this until the next meeting to give you a chance to read the application from a retired Navy captain who's in the Medical Service Corps, put in a application. And wasn't considered. I imagine they looked at it, but he wasn't selected. And if you could read his application and the person they selected, and if you feel they made the right decision, then I have no problem with that. But I'd appreciate it if you take the time to read those two applications. Table it for this meeting.
What is your guys' input?
What, could you tell me, what is the captain's name?
Michael Meyer.
Michael Meyer.
Yeah. He spent 29 years in the Navy, in the Medical Service Corps. And he went through the whole process of disability claims, and so he's ultimately familiar with the operation of the VA system. So if you could consider that, I'd appreciate it. And I know the veterans would too. Because right now, if the way to be, if they carry on their recommendation, is that 60% of the commission would be females, and I have no problem with that. But they're like 10 to 15% of the veteran population. So I think that the males would be underrepresented. I really feel strongly that the commission should be out there, you know, talking to veterans, going to veterans meet. And, Mr. Mulgrew now, he started coming to our VFW meetings, but the rest of them I never see in like the VFW or in parades and stuff. So I appreciate it if you consider that request.
Has Meyer been involved in the local organizations, like the VFW and so forth?
Yes,
Thank you.
he's a member of the Legion. But it's very, he has a PhD for one thing. So he well educated. So, you have any questions? No. You get an opportunity.
What's that?
There's another conversation.
Could you give us the first names of those two names that you did have? Mulder and Clemish, what are the first names?
Robert Mulgrew.
And Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Clemish. Elizabeth Clemish
Okay.
and Robert Mulgrew.
Is there any interest for you guys to table this or?
We have a VA commission and they've all gone over the applications as far as I know.
And they have
Yeah.
interviews.
They've held interviews. Same as our. I would trust the recommendation of our commission personally.
Well, I can just give you a little background information on that. Last time we went through this exercise, they didn't do any interviews until they were forced to.
Well, they have done that process now, and I think we have to have some respect to the members of the commission. And, for everything that they do and have trust in them. So I guess I would be willing to have these appointments made. It's just,
Is there what's the big problem of waiting 1 week so you can read their application?
We got them online. We've read them.
You read them? You agree with them? They picked the most qualified person.
I wasn't at the interview, so I don't know. I mean, I can't say definitively.
I disagree with you that, they appoint people. Well, I don't know if it, but, I would feel much better if you would just think about it, read it, compare them. And 10 minutes, you can figure it all out. And if you think, yeah, they made the right decision, then go ahead and appoint it. But
I don't object to waiting a week
thank you.
and asking for a clarification.
And what's waiting to have, 60% of the commission representing probably 10-15% of the veteran population.
Do you want your stats on representation based on sex in this country and in this state and this county?
I think I am.
That's not an argument.
I'm just telling you,
they're going there.
No.
We got gender equality and it's 60% one way and 40 the other, or 40, I mean, we have to be gender equality. It doesn't matter which way it is.
gender equality is that there has to be 2 females at least on a 5-person commission, any commission. That's state law. And so,
Well, right now, it basically comes down to whether we're willing to table it for a week or make a motion for the appointment.
I would move to a point.
I guess, yeah,
Is there a
I
second?
guess the commission made a recommendation. I mean,
I think the interview would be the more important part of the process, and that has happened. We weren't there. So I guess I would agree to go with what the recommendation.
We still need a second to find
Yeah,
out.
we need a second.
It's the flip of the coin.
Dan, what are your leanings?
I have trust in the commission.
But he can't make a motion.
But I can't. Okay, we have a motion and a second for the appointment recommended by the VA commission. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed,
No,
motion carries.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda, I move to IT GIS Director update on AV issues and reporting of meetings.
Good morning.
Morning, John.
I have some new information for you. Actually got a quote from CTI. So if you remember, yeah, so Jesse Hartstock with CTI put together a proposal for you. I received it Friday afternoon, and so I've invited Jesse to join us and answer any questions. He's basically proposing adding some microphones, basically kind of the electronics necessary to run the speaker system. But I think he's probably more, yeah. So here's the Jesse.
Morning, Jesse.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
You're coming across a little loud on our owls. That's where everybody can.
Let everybody can hear.
My apologies there. I got a little bit of a delay on this side, so even coming back on it, I'm not sure if that was locally or if that was on our side. Yeah, thanks for having me back on today. And as John mentioned, I did send that over and kind of went over there. I don't know if you guys had any specific questions, if there was anything that you wanted me to go over, or just kind of the general on what our outtake and solution to the space would be. If you just want me to go that far, or if, like I said, if you have any specific questions, I can do that too.
That sounds like a good starting point. Go ahead.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, so the most part, after making that site visit and looking at the space, what you guys currently are using, what you have there, myself and my team here, we kind of went with a design to add a ceiling microphone that would be in the space. It's an array, so it actually, one single microphone has 16 different microphones built into it, so it actually covers the whole space. It would be something that we would actually install to the ceiling. It has a flush mount, so essentially it's going to be right in there with like the speakers and those types of stuff, so it would just go straight into the ceiling. And like I said, it would cover the table and then also all the way back to the back wall too. So it'd have a full covered space with just one piece of hardware on that end of it. As far as updating microphone, that's kind of where that would go. And then camera wise, based on conversations, whether it was changing kind of the table it is or repositioning it, I think that was something that was discussed during the last meeting and then when I was there on site as well. But we would put like a camera on the back wall, either to the right or between kind of the windows. This would be facing the front of the room, so it'd either catch the board that way, all in one single camera that can be controlled. You can zoom in and out. You can set presets and stuff on it too. So it does allow for picking up all the individuals around the table that are facing the one direction. We would also place one on the front wall, so it would actually capture going the other direction as well. Both either could be used during a call, or you can select like in your team's basis, as that's kind of where the call still would be generated as you're doing now, using that software, using that program off of the computer. The displays you have in the room would still be used as well, so that wouldn't be changed as far as that goes. But then it would also, I know this isn't the only time that this space is being used, so also the camera that would be on the front wall, again, whether it's the same tables and stuff it is there, but could also be used in more of a, say, more of a traditional style like conference room, whereas if that table, was the main focus of it too. So a call could still be generated and you'd be able to use that front camera to have just a regular, video call as if it were say a 12 by 12 conference room type of thing. And same type of thing, the microphone would still pick up and register the participants on and in the space as well. The other parts of the hardware essentially would be using your existing ceiling speakers. So we added in an amplifier to be able to run those because the wiring stuff was ran back to the back closet, but there's nothing that's being currently used that way for it. And then just like I said, a couple other pieces of hardware that actually allows for the call to work, and just the back end of it is just kind of stuff that wouldn't be seen. It'd just be located in that back closet just to be able to make sure that the calls and the space can be used in that sense. So really the only pieces that you'd be seeing in the space, like I said, would be if you looked up to see that microphone and then the cameras that would be on each of the two walls. And I do have, I think it should let me, I have a couple of pictures of those just to kind of give you an idea what those would look like too. Are you able to see my screen or see what those would look like? Is that popped up yet? Okay. So essentially, yep. So what it is, it's a 4-foot essentially microphone. It's like 2.5 inches actually wide, and then a little less than an inch actually thick. So it's pretty small and form-fitting. That's what would be mounted into the ceiling. This bottom piece is just kind of the mount that goes in it too. So how it clips it and goes in actually behind the drywall, and then you can see the white piece on this. So this pops up and goes over top of it to secure it in there as well. So like I said, this part wouldn't be seen. The only thing you would actually see is just the top part of the actual microphone itself. So very concealed. And like I said, the technology that's built in there with the background of the equipment that being in the back end that you wouldn't see is what drives the call, which like I said, then it's programmable so we can move the microphone lobes if need be to certain areas of the room. Pretty neat features of how those types of things can work anymore. And then, like I said, cameras, this is kind of just what you would see as on the front wall and the back wall. Again, this is just the front of the camera. It ties into the back end of the rest of the hardware that we would use. But one, like I said, to be located on the front and one to be located on the back. The rest of the stuff, like I said, essentially is just back end type equipment. And there's just a few other pieces that you would be used to actually run the call and make sure all the equipment works together. But yeah, so it's pretty neat on how they work for sure. Does any questions, concerns, or anything come up as far as with the proposal, or like I said, anything that would be jumping out at anybody there?
Well, I also see that you have recommended some additional years of complete service agreement. What does that cover?
Sure. Yep. So on any project that we do where we are providing equipment or doing an installation, we automatically provide a 1-year service contract that's on there. So after the space is up and running, you're using it. If there happens to be an issue, you can just reach out to me or my team. And what we would do is either if it's something we can try troubleshooting with John over the phone if need be, or we would essentially roll a truck up or have one of our technicians come up to site to troubleshoot and fix any issues that be there. So that's all covered. Like I said, our work is in that first year. If training needs to be done, so if new people come on staff wise, or if there just happens to be more questions, again, we can come up, you give us a call, come up and we'll kind of go over the space or show how it works. If need be to somebody new or just even refreshers as well. So that we always include just as part of how our company and what we do on it. But we do, so after that first year, if you did want existing service, you can add like in a year, 2 year, 3 span, whatever the case is, you can add after the 1 year is up. But then we also, as you can see in there, we do allow for like upfront, like if you wanted to add, like say a 3rd or 4th, which would be the 2 additional years or the 4 additional years to cover the whole space for 5 years or 3 years. Essentially, if there was any issues, problems with hardware in that first year or outside of those that year, if you continued, again, we would just replace it. You wouldn't have anything else out of pocket to the county as far as that is to replace or have somebody come up and take a look at it. Say after that first year, when we include and say you had issues and you didn't either extend it on a year basis or do it up front, if you wanted us to come up or if there was an issue, again, we can still troubleshoot those type of things over the phone. But if we were to make a site visit and do any repairs, that type of stuff, then you would have a service call essentially. So you'd have the time spent for it, or if there was a replacing of the hardware that wasn't within warranty. Typically, everything we run has a manufacturer's warranty of 3 to 5 years already. So a lot of that stuff is going to be, if there is issues, it's going to be the time that we've either spent on site, or if we're having to send a piece in, come back up to, install or reinstall, that type of stuff on a service call, then those type of things would be charged versus, like I said, the CTI complete plan, then you don't have any of those charges associated to you at all.
Another
Yeah,
county,
Just so I can clarify, we wouldn't have to decide on the additional service at the time of installation. We could add that on later within that first year, or?
Yep, you are correct. So that, like I said, that is something that we just allow. So if it's something up front you want to take care of, we have the capability where you don't have to be. But yes, you can add any time. So the 1 year is covered. We'll do anything that we need to make a site visit, repair. Essentially, then I'd have our internal, we have like our service team who would essentially reach out before that 1 year is up and say, hey, again, checking in, see how things are going. Are you interested in doing an additional year? Are you wanting 2 years? Are you wanting 3 years? You have that option. So yeah, we can do just on a year-to-year basis. So again, even if you decide to do it 1 year after, then the following year again would come up and say, hey, do you guys want to continue that service? If not, then yeah, you can always cancel or go at that time too. Same thing goes along. So say we would install this system and you decided 6 months down the line or even 2 months down the line, you wanted to add additional or have different parts of the thing that aren't included with this installation right now, more features, or you wanted to change things up at that point in time too, that installation would again have its own 1 year type of already included into it. And then if there's 2 systems or upgrades that you've done, then we can kind of, conclude it all together come the following year and stuff as well too. So
I have a quick question. In your experience, the other counties you've worked with on this, what ballpark figure can you give us on additional electrical work that would have to be done to install this type of system? And you saw our equipment.
I don't know if it cut out on my end or locally. I'm sorry, the last. I'm catching you going in and out. My apologies.
Yeah,
I think I might have you connected again.
It's frozen on Winneshiek County end.
Yep, I think it's completely frozen at this point.
Yes, just a second.
Okay. Catch catch something, but that's about it. Can recognize that there is audio coming, but can't understand what the question is or where it's at. I don't know if you can hear me. From what I got of the original, the start of the question, it seemed as far as the requirements for electrical. From what I can see and what from the site visit, everything would be fine, and which is pre-installed. We just have to double check as far as in the actual closet room, which appeared to be electrical was still there and had space.
Thank you.
Jesse, what is the, is there any unusual lead times on the equipment that you specified for this project?
No. Everything, so typically everything we have is available in about a 30 to 69 or to 30 to 90 day window right now. All this stuff currently is available and I think has about a 30 to maybe 45 day time frame of it. So getting close. I would say before, 2020 and COVID, we were pretty much on most stuff we had available to us in 3 to 4 week time frame. So it's kind of getting closer to that. But most stuff we can do and install within 90 days. All this stuff is available at this point in time. I can't obviously control to say if a huge flux of equipment requests comes in, not only to us, but obviously this equipment is something that's available to nationwide and other two obviously can play into effect. But most of this stuff, like I said, all this stuff currently right now is available at this time. Installation that we would probably be on site maybe is about 2 days that I would go forth. Only thing it gives a little bit of uncertainty obviously is just I did take a peek above the ceiling, being a finished ceiling, if we had to poke around and whether that was getting somebody up there, which made it a little more because it's not a whole lot of space, but poking through with push cables, that type of stuff. Sometimes obviously that's a little bit longer of a time frame. But yeah, we would see that being with the pathways either that are there or what we can generate a couple of days of actually on-time installation.
All right. Well, thank you, Jesse. And we'll take a look at this and have John get back to you.
Sure. Yep. Definitely. Let me know if there's any questions or any follow-ups.
Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Next on the agenda, Andy Vandermont.
Good morning.
Morning, Andy. Do you have anything for us?
No, I'll shoot you an email on an issue I talked to Dan about a little earlier today. And beyond that, I don't think I have anything specific today. Ben did reach out to me a week or two ago about a couple of you had questions about HR work in the county. And I think it would be beneficial if, Steve and Shirley, if you guys would have some time and meet with me, we can talk about that in a little more detail and try to figure out just kind of how you want to scope this and how you want to transition what you're seeing for projects if that's something that you're interested in doing.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And I think I've mentioned to a few of you, I have an assistant who's leaving the office in mid-August, so the timing of this would not hurt my feelings a great deal when it comes to that workload, particularly, until we find a new assistant as a replacement. So, beyond that, do you have anything?
Anyone have anything, Brady? Doesn't look like it, Andy, and I'll just let Shirley and Steve set up a time to meet with you and you can get back to me on that other issue. Thank you.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Consent agenda.
At the minutes and the claims and the monthly report of the VA Commission and the quarterly report of the Sheriff's Department. the sheriff's office. Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
A motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? If none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously.
Do you want me to put that road tour of the Horn Hollow Road on a future agenda, or are you all just gonna look at it individually and we'll just bring it up when it comes up in a future meeting or something? Or what do you wanna do?
I've been out there. I'm familiar with the area, but I don't know with the rest of you how you feel.
I've been out there.
And I've seen it all plotted out and stuff. I mean, I see no problem with it. I guess
I think what Corbin described when he was in here pretty much delineates what was needed for a turnaround and what would be involved.
And then the real questions came down to, obviously, they're doing the retracement on that part that's being used. And that's in the works and should get done. And then the part that nobody's interested in, and you can proceed with working on vacating that all the way over to College Drive at some point in the future. But the real question is that part in the middle, that you have one person request that you stake it out and possibly make it approve it a little, make it more available to the public, and then you've had another person request that you just vacate that. And so that's the part you really need to, I think the turnaround is in the works too. I mean, that's just kind of a done deal.
Yeah.
Where exactly it is between Jeff and them and.
yeah, that's one.
But I think that you really, really need to talk about or decide, give some direction to the engineer's office at some point. Do you want to vacate that middle section?
I still think it would be beneficial for all the parties to be there, to see it.
I mean,
Well, if some of you guys have already been out there, I know. You wanna go with me, Mark?
Yeah, I go look at it, but I'm like, okay, if we vacate it,
I've seen the map.
oh, where's the
do we need to have a turnaround? On whose property would it be?
That's all.
It's already done.
The turnaround isn't really part of the vacation question.
That's part of the project. It's like, well.
I would suggest you have Jeff drive you out there
Okay.
and you can ask them these questions.
Fine, and is the shed there, is that sitting on the?
There's 3 grain bins that the basement goes through at the start, and then another building before it even goes to the bottom of my drive. And then it crosses the creek and then goes up the hill. So it's nowhere even near a road. Yes, sure.
And those are sitting on county property at the moment.
The grain bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll get a hold of Jeff and just go out there too at some point in time. Mike's been out there too.
Because Mike's been the ones doing the survey work, so he might be even, I mean, not that Jeff wouldn't be knowledgeable, but Mike might know some of the details, so.
You'd want to, but that'd be fine.
Well, I could.
We could both go together.
And so at this point, I won't add an actual tour back on the agendas.
No.
Too much
legit?
things going on in the engineer's office anyway, so we'll just, at this point, wait on that.
Okay, so, yeah, it'll probably be next week before.
Just let me know.
Okay.
And just an update we have one application so far for engineer. And so the cutoff is Wednesday. And so I'll talk with Andy just to make sure we're doing it right, because we aren't supposed to reveal names yet until we talk with those people. So, but I'll get you the information on the applicants that we have after Wednesday.
Thank you.
And that'll give you time then Monday to start talking about them without names attached until we find out from them how much they wish to be open to the public.
Exactly.
And on that subject, Joel Vance in Fayette did agree to be on the advisory committee for us to help read through applications as a nearby engineer. I don't know if you heard from anybody else at the meeting.
No, they
So-
discussing.
I would do the same with him.
And with everything going on in that department, is it, it's application procedure for this foreman job, is that something we just want to?
I believe we ought to postpone that, and I think it's wise to review the application or the definition that we've given. When I look at the difference of what they proposed or what they gave people, doesn't really line up with our job description in some degree. I think we should take a hard look at that, and I think we need to postpone making that decision until sometime in the future.
You're talking about the foreman job?
The foreman's
Yeah.
position.
It's just,
Yeah, they don't have too much on their plate to be worried about.
Yeah, we don't.
Trying to make that higher right now.
Yeah.
And Andy, the assistant attorney, will work through all of this
Yeah.
with us.
I'll discuss that with him too when he contacts me again this afternoon. Hopefully.
We're making a motion on that or for that.
I think that's up between, I mean, that's.
I
You don't
make a
need,
motion to postpone it just to make it,
Postpone
That
the
hiring.
foreman hiring at this
Hiring.
point.
make it,
Be revisited in the future.
revisit it in the future because of what's.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second to postpone the potential foreman hiring. Is there any further discussion?
I'm gonna abstain from voting on that one because I don't have enough information to postpone or not. So
And
Just for that reason.
for how long, or just
Right.
until a new engineer is hired, or?
Why don't we put it, I'd go postpone for 30 days till we get through some of this, what we're.
And you're okay with that as a second?
Sure.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Billy abstains. Any other committee reports?
I'll be in West Union for Northeast Iowa Committee Action tonight.
The 6 county meeting, which was real informative. That was very, yeah. The 6 county meeting was very, very informative. I thought, got a lot out of it. It was very good, yeah.
Did you all get the notes I sent out on the opioid settlement task
Yeah.
force meeting?
Yeah.
Great.
And the ISAC is putting together a training on the new property tax bill that's in September. The morning session is open for both auditors and supervisors. I've already signed up to go. The afternoon section is open for supervisors, but will be auditor specific training. So if anyone wants to go, they can, but I'm happy to report back what I learned too.
Which day of the conference is that?
This is a separate day of training.
Okay.
Yeah.
September 13th.
Yeah.
And one airport, Hilton or something like that.
Yeah.
It was mentioned at the 6 county meeting,
That's where they're gonna,
talk about the tax bill.
yeah.
I've signed up for it, Ben.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone have anything else?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, meeting is adjourned.
The cost of that GP,
So does, then the proposal part is.
do you have a product for that?
It was, yeah, 24.
That's the bottom of the driveway.
$23,796. Yes, that's enough. Yeah, that's extended warranty.
And it goes along the edge of that hillside, drops back down, and goes to sit on our CS ground. And then it goes. Yes. That's my pass.